The funny thing is I don't even know how many of the guys on my team know I'm gay now. I mean, it doesn't particularly come up in the dressing room, and you know, I know some of the guys do know, but whether they told everybody or not, I have no idea. I grew up in a little town in southeastern Saskatchewan, a little town called Manor. I grew up on a farm. I have 5 older sisters. I'm the youngest, the only boy in the family. Minor hockey, I started when I was 6. I'm sure it kept me out of trouble when I was a kid. It gives me, I look forward to it still. I love playing. It's been part of my life all the way through. I even stayed in the beer leagues in the senior afterwards. So yeah, I've pretty much always played hockey. My mother was the big hockey fan, so she was there, you know, pushing me into figure skating, saying, you know, all the good hockey players know how to skate, so you got to know how to skate, and doing things like that. And you used to have regional competitions, and I was in a competition. And I remember getting called a fag there because I was a figure skater, which that point I was just old enough to start understanding what that meant, and that really bothered me. And I think it ended up things like that. I ended up dropping out of figure skating because I was way better figure skater than I was a hockey player. Being called a fag when I was doing that likely pushed that decision. I think as a kid, I think I always knew. I just didn't really know what that meant. I didn't know, nobody talked about it. It was kind of on my own. But as I became a teenager, I really started to understand what I was. You feel so alone. There's nobody you can talk to. There's nobody, you don't expect to find anybody like you. I mean, I can remember driving around on a tractor thinking I was the only gay farmer anywhere in the world at that point, you know, at 16. You have no one to turn to. I mean, you all these questions and all these thoughts are going through your head as you're, you know, on a tractor you're spending 8, 10, 12 hours a day alone with nothing but your thoughts and the radio. So you know, you get a lot of time to reflect on that, and it's very isolated. You have no means of meeting anybody like you and knowing what other, you know, gay people are like. So it's lonely and it's tough. And I think for the most part, it was just mostly denial. Like I just wouldn't deal with it for the most part. It was there, but I wasn't going to deal, you know, there's nothing I could do, so I ignored it. You know, it's just, you know, and that's the survival mode, I guess, of doing that. I, you know, would date girls and all that, and I had the pseudo life of a straight guy. But you're not happy with it. You're not happy with having to deceive people. Finally made the decision that I was going to go leave, you know, get off the farm, go to university, and just get away. And I was fearful that I would just end up a drunk in the local pub, you know, kind of the town drunk, if I didn't get out. So so that's when I was about 28, 29. I left and went to Regina, went to school for a couple of years, and then ended up here in Calgary. Back home when I was young, it was a lot. It was always, you know, faggot this and cocksucker and all that stuff. Even as a child, as a kid, you know what that means, and you're getting an understanding that and that's where you go. That's where you get set in your mind that it's terrible, it's wrong, it's you know, it's next to being criminal. It's you're deviant. You question all those things, and it comes from that talk. And I think people now are way more aware of it. So in the locker room, it still may be prevalent. I can't imagine anywhere else that it's more, you know, masculine, you know, testosterone. You can't, no place for wimps, no place for fairies kind of place. It's the aggressiveness of sports and stuff like that, and you're so used to, you know, using those names and using those slurs and stuff like that. But once you realize that, you know, you wouldn't use the N word in front of a black player. Why would you use the F word in front of a gay person? You know, and just that realization that you're slamming somebody without really intending on doing it. And you know, they could be your best buddy on the bench. It's a lot of work. I mean, having your own business and everything. So I spend a lot of time working. I love building. I mean, I love being around that and doing something and having it's gratifying, because at the end you can say, hey, wow, you know, we did this, and you know, so we've had some really pretty spectacular projects to do that you can sit back and be really proud of, and that. So it's we're predominantly custom homes, so it's we've gotten some great jobs, and then you wait a while, so the money kind of, it's like Calgary's bust and boom. So you got to really watch, you know, to get yourself from one big project to next. But it's good. I love my job. I like doing what I do, so I'm generally pretty happy. For me, part of that, I guess, is my character, to try and prove myself always in other ways. With this background voice telling me that I'm not as good as anybody else because I'm gay. Right, so I'm always trying. I think I've been a bit of an overachiever in certain areas, trying to always, you know, do that. And I suppose being gay maybe pushed that side of me. And if I hadn't been gay, I would have just been, you know, back home farming. You know, I don't think I ever really thought about 30 years ago when I was younger, ever having an open life. So this is 100 times better than what I think I ever possibly imagined.